Each of us has surely seen a Bundeswehr vehicle driving around at some point in our lives, whether it was in a convoy on the highway, at a Bundeswehr festival, or maybe on an open house day. Then you often wondered, what the hell is that weird shield-shaped thing with a white cross on the back of the vehicle? And why is it on almost every vehicle as well? No matter if it's a tank, a regular troop transporter, or maybe even on a light vehicle. Today we're taking a look at the so-called aiming cross, what it's used for, and what alternatives exist in other armies. Imagine there's a war, and the Bundeswehr is now moving a convoy from one location to another in close proximity to the enemy and also close to the front line. To be less conspicuous, because a convoy is large and stands out, it is, of course, moved at night to avoid drones or to evade enemy scouts. And since it's dark, the driver obviously needs light. After all, we're not driving the convoy on well-paved roads with street lights. We're driving through a wooded area to approach as inconspicuously as possible. Everyone knows that from driving a car themselves. Light is important because without light, you can't see as well. And above all, you're also less visible to others. But of course you can't just turn on the low beams of all vehicles, because any enemy would be able to spot and attack the vehicle or the convoy from several kilometers away. In addition, Bundeswehr vehicles are usually well camouflaged. Camouflage mainly serves the purpose of making it more or less invisible by making the sharp contours of the vehicle disappear into the surroundings and generally blend better with the background. That also works very well at night. Of course, that's good for protection against enemy scouts. But just imagine how difficult it will be for the drivers as well. Driving a 25-ton vehicle at full speed just a few meters apart in a convoy, without their own lights and without the tail lights of the vehicle in front. That vehicle is well camouflaged, so following it without crashing, if it suddenly stops or turns, is tough. To prevent exactly that kind of thing, there is what's called camouflage lighting. That's a rather dim light, which is intended for the immediate surroundings and doesn't shine in all directions, and with which you can hardly see anything. But it's still better than having nothing at all. And there are different levels of that. Level 0 means everything is off. Brake lights, turn signals, tail lights, all of it. Then there's level 1 where the guide cross is turned on, which brings us back to the topic. And then level 2, there, only the front blackout headlight would have been activated. And then there's the last level, level 3. Blackout headlights, guide cross, tail lights, and brake lights are all activated at once. So the higher the level, the more things are switched on. And what exactly does this guide cross do? We just heard it's related to blackout lights. Well, to avoid giving enemy forces any clue as to where the convoy is, a small dim light shines in the middle of a white bar cross. Because of the design of the lamp housing, it doesn't shine directly backward. There's actually a small cover on it, and it has 4 openings through which the light shines down onto the crossbars. And the light is really so weak that it's only visible for a few meters to the naked eye. And now we have a very faintly illuminated white cross. And thus, we also have the minimum amount of reference points for following vehicles to be able to orient themselves properly. We can see which direction the cross is moving. That way we have an idea of which direction the vehicle in front is driving. If it approaches, we move closer to the vehicle. If it retreats, we keep our distance. Now that we can orient ourselves, this is especially important when driving on forest roads at night. Or hardly any ambient light is present and the vehicle ahead can only barely be made out. Logically, the guide cross is always only at the rear of the vehicle and also positioned so that it is covered from above. This is done either by tilting it slightly forward or by mounting it under other vehicle structures. You don't want it to be visible from above or from the sides, but only from the rear, if at all. Such an illuminated guide cross is actually a little special for any ordinary citizen, since driving with it is actually prohibited during peacetime. That means you don't actually see it lit up that often. Before any comrades from the Armored Corps flood the comment section, I'll address it right away. With modern tanks of the Bundeswehr, it's possible to navigate even in poor visibility using the driver assistance system, which has an integrated thermal imaging system and a day vision camera with twilight function. I've also heard from comrades that they've driven with other night vision devices without necessarily having to rely on the aiming cross. But feel free to write in the comments whether and how often you use the aiming cross if you have served. And if you have no idea whether you were or are soldiers, did you even ever notice that something like this exists? Personally, during my time in the Bundeswehr, I never had to use it. And I don't know anyone who ever actively used it either. But that's where you come in. Feel free to share your experiences in the comments. How do the others actually do it? The United States Army uses a blackout marker light. It has 1 white and 4 red light slots. If you can see them like this, then you're within 20 meters of the vehicle. Between 20 and 50 meters, it looks like the 4 dots merge into 2 red dots. And if you can only see a single red bar, then you're beyond the 50-meter mark. This way, you can not only see the vehicle, but also estimate the distance to the vehicle in front. Now, the seasoned North Vietnamese Army veteran will say, wait a minute, I know this. We use something like that too. Yes, something like that, because the North Vietnamese Army had. The so-called distance light basically worked the same way. Up close, you saw 4 lights. Between 25 and 50 meters only, 2 and everything else over 50 meters. That was only visible as a single strip. The only difference here is the design of the lamp and the shape of the viewing slits. Other armies use infrared, the lights at the rear of the vehicle. Their main advantage is they're now invisible to the naked eye. In this case, basically every driver needs their own night vision device. And if the enemy has one too, then he can also see the convoy light up. Infrared, of course, can't tell enemy from friendly night vision devices. And then there are other countries that don't have any alternative or any kind of blackout light at all. So they either use regular lights and risk being seen or go without lights, which raises the chance of accidents. I hope you enjoyed the video about the light concert. Send it to all your comrades who still don't know what that even is. And with that, I also hope that a frequently asked question has been well answered. Support the channel by subscribing for free. And if you've already done that, we'll hear from each other again tonight in the Ukraine Situation Report. As always, special thanks go to the channel members, the ALGO crew, and Lieutenant Colonel Renicky.